Welcome to Unplugged, a show created by two college seniors who aspire to have a career in the television industry. Kelly and Kaylee have a passion for sharing the stories and experiences of successful women in various media fields.
And that's exactly what this show is all about. Sit back and grab your favorite cup of coffee as we cover a Q&A and debunk misconceptions.
Can you start off by introducing yourself?
Hi, my name is Gebbia. I'm originally from Staten Island, New York, now living in Los Angeles, California, and I am an on-air talent on the radio, a podcast host, a Believe in Bravo Besties Podcast, and a content creator on my Instagram and TikTok page.
So what made you want to go into the podcasting and radio industry?
What made me want to go into podcasting and the radio industry is when I was little, I kind of just always knew that I wanted to be the center of attention. I always liked talking to everyone. I would play talk show host with my mom as a kid. And I knew I had that passion to go in front of the camera, but when I got into college, it didn't necessarily work out that way. I got really involved with the Bronx, and my heart fell deeper and deeper in love with the radio, and that led to an internship, and here I am today.
So talking about your voiceover career, can you tell us kind of the main differences between that side of your career and then the hosting side of your career?
Yeah, there is a pretty big difference between voiceover work and hosting. With hosting, you have a little bit more freedom to let your personality shine in. I mean, it all depends on the line of work you're hosting in. You know, with red carpet, entertainment, they want to see your personality. You know, when no one wants to watch you be stiff as a board or anything like that. Whereas maybe, I don't know, if more, not commercial, like a workplace event needs a host, then you kind of have to be more buttoned up. So that you might not let to get your personality shine there as much. But with voiceovers, like, you're pretty much at the mercy of what the client wants. So it really all depends. If they're like, we need this to be an upbeat, friendly read, like, I could let more of like, hey guys, like that shine through it. But, if I have to read a commercial about like a heart attack hospital, like, I'm not going to be upbeat and friendly there. So it just really all depends on what the client's asking for.
Going into the podcast and radio kind of side of things again. So with podcasts and radio now, oftentimes different companies will use videos now. So you see videos of podcasts on YouTube as well as the actual audio. So can you talk about that change in the industry and how video has kind of merged into, the audio and radio?
Yeah, video is a huge integral part of audio work now, whether it's radio or podcasting. You have to know your way around both of those, whether you're editing long form things, if you have a podcast you did over Zoom and you want to turn it into something you can throw up on YouTube, or even if you want to take a soundbite of what you did for your podcast and throw it up on Instagram or TikTok in like a 30-60 second clip, you have to be very savvy with editing. So it's changed from when I first entered the industry. I mean, God, we were still using, Microsoft Movie Editor, Windows Movie Editor at the time, and now you just have to be really savvy.
Now, looking at your career so far, what would you say has been the most challenging part, but then on the other hand, what's been the most rewarding part?
Yeah, the most challenging part of my career was when I got let go from my position at 1015 back in 2016. I was 24 at the time, and I had stepped into a career so much earlier than all my friends did, and at that point, a lot of my friends were just getting hired in their full-time roles, so I was kind of going through a little, also an identity crisis, because that had been part of my personality, my brand for so long, and I was like, oh my God, what's next for me? But luckily, Town Square, they picked me right back up and put me in another market, and it has just been, I would say that's the most rewarding part, because it's cliche, but they say everything happens for a reason, and I wanted to move out to LA ever since I was a kid, and there was just no way I was going to be able to do that if I was still working at the office at New Jersey 101.5, because you have to be there. But accepting a role and learning the traffic side of radio and being able to do my radio show part-time, that allowed me to work remotely. So that definitely it's definitely the most challenging and most rewarding part at the same time. It's bittersweet, but it all worked out.
Was there ever a time in your career where you faced any adversity because of being a woman in the media industry?
Yeah, I definitely would say that we as women still face adversity today in the industry. I think when I first started out, I feel as though a lot of the older male staff didn't want to take me seriously. You know, I'm bubbly, like not to toot my own horn, but I dress nicely. I'm outgoing. And I feel that when you have more serious male figures, they might look at that as like, oh, well, she's not serious about the position. So I feel like I almost had to prove myself further in a way.
Mm-hmm. And can you go a little bit further into that? Like, how did you have to prove yourself? Did you feel like you had to change how you were? Or did you just kind of say, here I am and this is my job?
Yeah, it was a little bit of both, feeling like I needed to change, but also just really buckling down and not backing down. So it's kind of like, you know how they say read the room? It's like, all right, I read the room. If I can't be outgoing and super like happy, fun with you, like I'm gonna come in, get the job done, do a damn good job, and like be on my way. And with the people who do appreciate who I am for who I am, that's where I can let my personality shine.
Definitely. So what's been the biggest lesson that you've learned throughout your career?
The biggest lesson that I've learned throughout my career is that there's room for everyone at the table. I know that this industry is very competitive, and there are just some times where you feel like if you didn't get chosen for an opportunity, it's the end of the world. Like, I got passed up for a midday host with my company, and at first I was really upset about it, and now I'm like, I know why I was passed up for that. Like, it was because I could work for this other station and be remote, and it worked out in my favor. So don't see people that may come in as your competition. Like, there's always going to be something for you, and you can learn from one another. And when you work with other people, you lift one another up and you bounce off each other's ideas, and you just build a greater product than you would if you were competing against someone else.
And lastly, what's the biggest piece of advice you have for anyone who's getting into the industry?
My biggest piece of advice for anyone getting into the industry is don't give up. You know, don't let criticism get you down. Everyone has a different opinion. I've worked with 2 different hosting coaches in LA, and one was brutal and was like, you need a lot of work. And then I work with someone else and she's like, what the hell was she talking about? You're amazing. So everyone has a different opinion. Again, there's room for everyone at the table. So just because you can't slide in here doesn't mean your personality isn't well suited for somewhere else. So every no you hear, just know that that no is getting you one step closer to your yes.
Okay, so now I'm going to hand you a stack of misconceptions.
Ooh, okay. All right, first one. There's no pre-production for a radio or a podcast show. Okay, that is absolutely false, whether you're talking about radio or a podcast. There's live radio and then there's voice-tracked radio, and you definitely need some form of planning for both, whether that's planning out topics you're going to discuss or planning out your breaks. If you're doing a music show, is this going to be a lifestyle break, local break, something topical? So you really can't go into it blind. And with my podcast, no matter whether I'm interviewing someone or I'm doing it solo, I always have a breakout of the show. If I'm doing a recap, I watch the show beforehand, take notes about things I want to talk about. So you never want to go into a radio or a podcast, a radio show or a podcast, completely blind, off the cuff, because you're just setting yourself up for disaster if you do that. The next one. You can't make a mistake on air. Okay, this might be a little bit unpopular. Like, you shouldn't make a mistake on air, but like by mistake, I don't mean something silly like flubbing your words or saying the wrong thing. That's totally fine. It lets the listener know you're human. We all have those days. Maybe they had like a bad day at work and they're listening to you and they know you messed up. Like, totally relatable. That's fine. But like, hitting the wrong button and firing off something wrong, like I've done that, you shouldn't do that. Leaving your mic on, totally have done that, shouldn't do that. Things like that, you want to stay away from doing those, but like little silly mistakes, who cares, you're human. And being a radio host is the same as being a DJ. I'm going to give a hot take and say no, it's not the same, because host implies you have some sort of personality. One of my hosting coaches put it really well. She said that When you host, it's like you're inviting someone into your home, like you're hosting a party, you're making someone feel as though they're part of the room, and that carries on camera, on the mic, even if someone can't see you. And when someone says DJ, I know this is probably like antiquated now, but I think it's just someone like playing the music. So I think host is what really puts that extra pizzazz in there. So I don't think they're the same things. And those are our misconceptions, and I hope I answered all of your burning questions.
Thank you for watching this episode of Unplugged.
We hope you enjoyed watching and finished your coffee along the way. We'll catch you
In our next episode.